The threats to the traditional media due to the rise in digital media are obviously being seen at the moment in newspapers and print media, broadcast media across the board. I mean, what we've found since the launch of the internet and then later the launch of the search engines is that advertisers now have a wider choice to advertise online or in the newspapers. Obviously this has had a massive impact on the print media in particular, as seen recently due to the recession. A lot of small newspaper titles have actually gone to the wall. This has been put down to the decline in advertising. Obviously we're also having a situation now where there's a lot of newspaper sales. Our local newspapers, where once we'd go out and buy our local evening paper, there's now a massive increase in returns from shops that are just not being sold, and it's because people these days, particularly the younger generation, which is the generation of the future, are choosing to go online, Facebook, Google, you know, whatever. It's internally the rise of the digital media is having an enormous impact on journalists themselves. I mean, these days, I know for a fact there is less journalists per head count as there were, for instance, 10, 20 years ago. Newspapers are obviously newspaper publishers are trying to find ways to keep their shareholders happy financially, and a good way to do this is to get rid of your human resource. On top of that, they're trying to keep up with the digital media by bringing out online videos, etc. This is a pressure now being put on the journalist. So journalists have not only got less people in the newsroom, they've also got this extra pressure of having to try and do videos online, etc. We've also seen a rise in citizen journalism, which I don't think is a threat to journalists' abilities and the quality of journalists. However, it is an enormous something I really have a strong objection to, because journalists are trained for many years to do a specific job, and a person on the street, which is a citizen journalist, it could be your mother, your father, your auntie, your uncle, they may have an opinion on what's going on in their street, etc. But they haven't got the journalist credentials to go into a court of law and report on something vitally happening in their little small hamlet or village or wherever they are. They haven't got the ability to understand what actually is news and what isn't news. Journalists, while they're doing that little role, journalists are being told, right, we're not going to be reporting in that little region anymore because we've got our handful of citizen journalists, etc., doing it. So quite honestly, that citizen journalism is something that I don't welcome for journalists, to be quite honest. And I think it's wrong that newspaper publishers who are online seek to go down the line of citizen journalism, and I hope that they're not looking at that as the future, i.e. we're going to be replacing most of the journalists and relying on our citizen journalists, because the quality of news is just going to go down the pan even further, and you, the member of the public, are just going to be fed with something that your mother or your sister or your auntie taught, which is basically gossip. It's not actually news reporting, as I know it as a professional journalist.